everyone, welcome to my channel. It's good to see you all again. What I want to do today, I want to talk about what happens when you have a clear idea in your mind about a painting, but really you don't. I also want to talk about not being afraid to change things in a painting when you're halfway through. You don't have to stick with what you originally laid out. Okay, here we go. I have 4 photographs that I've used, and I'm using them to make a composite image of an idea that I had that I thought would work well with a watercolour. In my mind, I've got the idea of having a really vibrant, colourful painting with lots of bright colours, and that's where was my starting point. That's where I was coming from originally. The issue with that is, of course, is that if I was going to paint a watercolour traditionally, I would have to save the bright, vibrant colours to add later to the painting because they're translucent, and anything that you put on lighter over the top, the bright colours would just shine through. So you'd have to, rather than being a watercolour painting, it would be a gouache painting. You'd have to use sort of gouache poster colours to block out the vibrant colours underneath if you wanted to. And I hadn't really thought that through when I started. And also, I could have sort of used vibrant colours and black ink over the top. That would have worked well and fairly easily. So I've got this idea of what I wanted to produce, but not really something you could do in traditional watercolour medium, which is what I was wanting to do. I wanted to do a watercolour, and I'm working in Artrage. I've done a few before, so that was where I was coming from, and it was kind of doomed to failure right from the very start. So anyway, let's crack on and see what happens. It's just dawned on me that everything I've just said, I'm talking as though I'm actually doing a conventional painting with watercolour paints and some gouache colours, and obviously I'm not. I'm doing a digital painting, and it just shows that although I've been doing it now for quite a while, a few months, I still haven't got the mindset of that I'm painting digitally, and I can do a lot of other things. I can move layers around and put a colour on, or a layer under another colour after I've painted it over the top if I want, and I can change the mode so it multiplies and becomes darker, or lightens it, or put a dodge on it so it becomes really bright and burnt out. I can do all of those things, but in my head I'm still working with tubes of paint, and I suppose I'll get over that and get to the point where I'm thinking digitally and not with paint. But at the moment, I still definitely, even though I'm painting on a computer, I'm still got in my head that I'm working the same way as I would with paint. So far, as you can see, I've firmly got my watercolour head on, and I am faithfully laying on very delicate washes of thin colour over the painting. I seem to have forgotten that I wanted a bright, vibrant painting with lots of colour, and I'm using very muted colours, building up those washes slightly. I've sort of got frustrated. I've messed about with blending modes and taking it almost back to white paper again with just a few colours on there, then started building up the colours again, always keeping them very muted, slightly adding a little bit more colour and building it up, but still, all in all, I'm thinking at this stage the colour of the painting is looking a bit bland, it's looking a bit flat, and I've sort of forgotten what I originally intended to do, and I've gone into sort of a classic watercolour mode of building up these layers slowly. and that is not what I intended when I first started out, but I keep on with this for a little while, adding those colours and building it up, and going into the guy sitting on the boat and putting in a bit of detail and strengthening the colours slightly. But it's still, all the while I'm painting, I know sort of deep down it's not really where I want to be. So it's about at this point that not only is the fact that the colours aren't going as I really like, the handrail along the side of the canal is beginning to irritate me. I'm beginning to think it's cutting the painting in half, and I need to do something about it. But I don't think I'm actually there yet, but it's starting to niggle me. I'm not happy that I've got this handrail, and I've worked with objects like this before, where I've left sort of areas of it white and not painted it at all, and just left a sort of a silhouette shape, rather than having something really dark protruding out of the foreground right in the middle of the painting. So I'm starting to think I need to make some changes. This is quite painful to watch back, because I know I wanted stronger colours and I'm just not adding them. I am strengthening the colour now, but I'm putting in greyed off tones and like very sort of subtle touches of colour here and there, a little bit of blue and a dab of green, and then a massive blob of grey. And I'm working over the old painting, generally adding more greys and making it more muted all the while. And I still know that I want a bright painting, so I have no idea why I'm doing what I'm doing. I've no idea. It's a massive waste of time, it seems, but I push on, because that's what you do when you're painting, don't you? You just keep going. I'm using mainly two brushes for the whole of this painting, the water brush and the wet glaze brush. Both of them are default brushes within Artrage. I normally set the size of them when I initially start painting to about 500%, because I create really big files so I can get a decent print, and I still like to use big brushes. If I was painting on a regular watercolour paper, I would be using decorators brushes, the sort of 3-inch wide brushes, to get a wash on really quick. So I do find the size in Artrage, well, in every package really, and any program or app I'm using, the size of the brushes can be a bit of a limitation, because just when I initially start, because I do like to get a wash on really quick. So those are the brushes I'm using, and the palette in this one, I just selected a bunch of primary and secondary colours, because I did want a really vibrant painting. I keep banging on about that I wanted a vibrant painting, and it's still not happening yet. I will get there in the end, I promise. I will get there in the end. It's a new day. I've had time to look at the painting and reevaluate where I'm going with it, and finally I take the plunge and I whack some colour in there. I'm back on track, and I'm very happy that I'm now going to use a lot of colour. And also, as I said earlier, I've thought through what I want to do with the the handrail that runs along the side of the canal. So I take that out and I start to sketch in the part of the narrowboat that's missing and painting that in, because I want you to be able to get into the painting, and I felt that handrail acted as a barrier to stop you actually getting right in there and enjoying the painting. So that had to go. Removing the barrier also remains pretty faithful to the scene, because there were gaps in the barrier for people to get off their narrow boats onto the footpath. So it does happen, there are gaps within the barriers, so it wasn't like I was making it a hazard in my painting where kids could fall into the water. So you know, it's okay, I was happy with that. And now I've got the strong colour on, I can go back to my faithful grey. And if you was using this grey, by the way, in paint, you'd probably go out and buy a tube of Payne's Grey if you're interested. I just thought I'd throw that in there. So I can take my grey colour again and start overpainting onto that bright colour to get the shadows back in. And also I'm using whites as well, so that would in effect be gouache that I'd be using there. What the deal is where you live, but in the country that I come from, in the UK, it's illegal to let a dog mess on a public road or footpath, so you have to take a bag around with you and pick up the dog poop if it makes a mess. So and people have little scoops, call them poop scoops, so they can scoop the mess into the bag, and then they tie a knot in the bag and they're walking along. So I found myself actually walking the dog in the painting on one occasion, and he made a mess, so I had to pick it up with the poop scoop and the bag. So I was heaving away and I got the poop into the bag, and I'm walking him home on the lead, so I've got the lead in one hand, and in the other hand I've got this plastic bag of dog poop. And somebody drove past on the main road and waved at me, and instinctively I waved back. So obviously both hands are full, I can't lift up the hand with the dog lead in it, so I just lift up the arm with a bag full of dog poop, waving it frantically at the person driving the car, going yoo-hoo, yoo-hoo. Nightmare. Anyway, as you can imagine, I'm not a big fan of walking dogs, and I tend not to walk them if I can help it. I know that's got nothing to do with painting whatsoever, but I thought I'd share that story with you because I do find it quite funny that a grown man can wave a bag of dog poop in the air at a passing friend. Okay, I'm getting really close to finishing now. I'm just putting the finishing touches in with a final wash of darker colour. Well, actually, it's probably the same shade or the same strength as the previous greys. It's just another layer, so it's building it up and it's adding depth to those colours. So just sort of putting a bit of form and shadow into the final painting, so it's really, really close to finishing. That's it, that's the finished painting. Probably not the best painting I've ever done in my life. It feels a little bit laboured, in fact it was. I wanted to share it with you. I'm glad I did, because sometimes it's nice to see other people struggling and don't find it easy. I did enjoy doing it though. I really enjoyed painting it. It's just that I'm not 100% happy with the result, and I could probably do it again. I have been known to paint the same painting 2 or 3 times till I get what I want. What I'm going to do, I think, is take this idea that I've got with all these bright colours and do an ink drawing over the top as a kind of a bonus drawing for Inktober, because I don't know if you know, I've been taking part in that. I've uploaded most of the videos for each day for Inktober, and I thought it would be nice to do one final drawing digitally, and I'm thinking that I might go into this using a really strong palette of colours and then do an ink drawing on that. So keep your eye open for that. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I've got lots more videos like this and lots of ideas. I've got a new series coming up soon. I'd love to share that with you. And a big thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. That would be great too. And I will see you all in the next one. Take care everybody. Have a good week.